Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Thursday, July 13th. 6:20 in the morning. Been watching the markets now for a little bit more than 6 hours. And say goodbye to the dollar. The dollar has completely fallen apart. So when the dollar falls apart, that's good for NASDAQ tech stocks, and NASDAQ tech stocks are making sure that everybody knows that they are up. Like a fucking rooster at sunrise. They are up. So I'm going to cover here real quick what we've got because we've got two trains that are colliding today as far as it goes for the SPX. Number one, we've got three green closes in a row. We track all this stuff because you're trading a video game, okay? And trends are pretty continuous. You can go back as far as you want, you can find trends. Trends work. Only twice this year did we have four in a row. That was at the beginning of January and right at the very end of March as we went into April. And then there in June, we got clobbered with that move on June as we left the 4200s. And we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a row. And that was during OPEX week, if you recall. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of OPEX, all green. Not something that you see on an OPEX, which is fact. I will bring you over and show you quad OPEX. Like we said, here are your quad OPEXs going back as far back as you want to go to 2020. And you don't see green, 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 green. You just don't. We had green, green, green. Same thing we had back here in March. It was a similar situation, but again, if you remember March 2022, we were in our rally mode back then, very, very aggressively oversold after we came off the Russian invasion. And here you are, green, green, green going in there. So enough of that boredom. The other collision course that we have happening today is Thursday. Last week, Thursday, we got a red Thursday, minus 35-point close. That was where we hit our bottom, 43.85. And I will emphasize the word bottom because going with our full moon tracking that we have been going through, and I've mentioned this many times in the past, plus or minus 3 trading sessions is when your full moon is. And as of yesterday, having had the full moon happen on July 3, we had our high just prior to that on June 30th, 44.58.48. 43.85 2 days after when we ended that streak of 27 sessions without a minus 1% decline. And yesterday we took it out with that CPI move. So that's it. It goes on my record that the full moon is a bottom again, just as it was in May, just as it was in June, just as it was in April. And that's where we're at. March, we already knew that it was a bottom because we sold off going in from the February full moon, which was the top. So coming back to strictly looking at our data, and as you can see here, this week has been complete shit. Intraday, 22 points on Monday, 35 points on Tuesday. And yesterday's, holy fucking shit, look at where we're going. We went even plus 1% yesterday. And the range was 25 points intraday. 25 points. There is zero fucking follow through on either side of the coin, bullish side or bearish side. Zero. Nobody is committing and throwing any kind of money into this because as you go into this all the way back to April, that was when this all started, when all of a sudden we just compressed our volatility. Everything fell apart. The VIX fell apart. And that's because the money is still sitting there waiting to be able to buy a proper dip. So, it is what it is. We can go into that philosophy and, debate as much as you want. This is where we're at. We're at 44.72 after yesterday. We have 3 green closes going into today. Today would be a 4th green close should we close above 44.72. Today is Thursday. Thursdays have been green going all the way back to May 11. That was the red Thursday that we had. Going back to May 18th, OPEX week in May, all the way until last week, Thursdays are green. They had been green, they had been green, they had been green. So you have to keep that in mind. Next thing that you need to go into is your QQQ, which is the legs of the stock market. You had a 4-point gap up yesterday, and you closed up from the open half a point. We have another gap up that's taking place right now, which I'll show you in a few minutes. And where we came down to on this 370.30, right there where our highs were going back the other day. That was our low of the day. We still have not filled that gap. We did get our plus 1% day. We are now, as of yesterday's move, plus 31% from the March lows. Now, they're rebalancing. I'll just pull some stuff over here. It's going to be a little bit of a longer video than the morning videos are. They are rebalancing the Magnificent Seven this coming week. Announcements are due to be made at the end of this week. Yesterday, it was reported that Google, Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, Amazon, and Tesla will all be rebalanced, the 6 of them. Facebook will not be rebalanced. I apologize. Meta will not be rebalanced. So what we have here on Meta is the unfilled gap. And the unfilled gap is the unfilled gap which goes up there to where they announced the metaverse way back here in February of 2022. And that gap which came down literally over 100 points down here, we are filling that gap. The gap fills up there at 323, and that's where we're at. So that's what we're doing right now. That's where that gap is getting filled. I will zoom this out just to show you how, again, looking here, which I know you can't see, but you know, it's not really my fucking problem this morning. I got rain going on and some other stuff. We are overbought. We're overbought. We're overbought. Overbought. Not on Tesla. Overbought over on Nvidia. And it's the same thing that you can bring on everywhere that you want to go and look. Every index overbought. Come over here onto the big left screen. Drag it on over. And we will go through these. Here is your Nikkei in Japan, 4-hour up here at overbought. Here is your 1-hour FTSE, extremely overbought. Come over onto your DAX. Fix this candle later. Again, 96.86, extremely overbought. Move around, Dow Jones 4-hour, looking here on the 4-hour RSI, very clear sell divergence. Over here on the SPX, very near overbought. Over here on the SPX 4-hour. The NDX 4-hour, again, same thing, very near overbought. And you just keep moving around. Here's your crude oil, clear running sell divergence on the 1-hour. Nobody cares. But I will pull this down. Oh, yeah, I don't need to because I've got it over on the other chart. So I'll just bring this back and get my situation going. And this is what we're playing with here. We'll go to the SPX at the end. Here's the dollar. The dollar has collapsed. We had a great move going into the end there, the end of May. Little bit of a bounce here as we were coming into the 4th of July. Everybody was talking about that, how, rates were going up. It was looking as if there was something coming. And now you have completely taken out here your February lows. So the dollar falling apart is very good for tech stocks. Very good for tech stocks means the legs of the stock market have an ability to continue to stand up. So the dollar falling apart is one part of the SPX. allowing itself to keep this 23-point gap unfilled over here from July 12th yesterday, very similar to this 20-point gap here back at the very beginning of June, which never filled as well. This needs to be changed to 44.88. And therefore, your minus 2% level is just below 4,400, which we already knew because we had our lows over here at 43.85 and our other low there at 43.90 from the other day. We were holding above 100% off the COVID lows. Now we are fighting, as you saw yesterday, at 100% above the COVID low close. Right up above us is the April of 2022 highs. You've got the April 2022 highs at 45.13. There is a tiny little 4-point gap from back in April. This April 21 was where we had the move up and then we started to fade off. And then the September of 2021 highs are sitting up there at 45, 45, 85. September 2021, as many remember, we had that euphoric run as we went into it. And then September and October, the volatility as we dipped down somewhere around 8%. I don't recall off memory because I'm getting a little old. And we come down here, bring this back onto your QQQ and the absolute fucking cemetery of unfilled gaps that are below. Since the March lows, a cemetery of unfilled gaps. You look over here on your 4-hour. If you had a penis like that, you'd be a porn star, the way this RSI candle is. That is one stiffy of an RSI 4-hour. 97.60 on the RSI 4-hour, exactly like you had back here, back at the very end of May, before we had that gap up. Incredibly overbought. But again, all that people want to know is where is the price action and how can I push a button and make some money off of it. So that's what we are looking at here. We are looking at a gap that is unfilled from going back there on Wednesday, another gap that is unfilled, which we are creating here tonight, and zoom you out onto a bigger, broader, wider picture. And as you can see here, this is your move coming off the October lows. We are way up here with the big blow off top at 384.28. Never expected it prior to a dip. 384.28 is what's there, and 384.28 is what it's pointing towards. 384.28 is what we need to be keeping in mind now for the QQQ. And then you come over onto your VIX, and while you have that incredible penis of an RSI on the 4-hour on the QQQ, this is what happens when you become an old man with your penis, as you get a, oh my God, I'm getting up. And then, well, it goes right on back down to normal. And here we are on the VIX, right back down here to 1339. 1339 is like the, I love you. I've had a great life with you. I've always enjoyed my time with you. But if we have to go outside and I need to put a bullet in you and bury you, this is where we're going to do it. We're going to do it at 1339. So 1339 now has to, once again, prove to be the life support system of the VIX. You eat this, which Thursdays and Fridays of every week for months now, just completely sell off the VIX and crush it lower. 1339 is your bloodline. You lose 1339, just go to every chart that you have and just tilt your neck upward and start looking up. 1451 is what needs to be recovered for the bears to have any chance whatsoever. And then here you are on your dollar. So again, with the dollar, fading off on the dollar, not a good move over here on the dollar. And although it's not really showing on the IWM because you can only buy one thing because funds are so limited, So what they're buying is they're simply buying all the QQQ weighted stocks while they're still weighted. Here's your IWM. We broke this 189 with this euphoria that we had after coming to it. Again, yeah, triple top test. And here we are pushing close to the year-to-date highs. 20% from the all-time highs at 195.57. Here's your February highs. This is a lot healthier than the other ones were with this move that went up, but pretty similar. Definitely some gaps in here, which I haven't put note on because there's been just a little bit too much going on at the moment. And yeah, here you go. From 180 coming back here on Friday's lows, here we are up at 193. A move that you just don't see on the IWM that many times in your life. So above 44, 34, 35 is still where I say this is a trap. Here we are right now where we have spent one day up above that 44, 34, 35, just like we had done over here last week. And then as we went in from July 3 into the real week after the 4th of July, we were back down here testing below 4,400. So couple of trade ideas that I have there in the email, couple of trade ideas that I posted there in the chat room. We are in speculation positioning. If you're not doing the spreads, which as you've seen, the safe spreads have all paid off all week, even the risky trades have paid off. Although yesterday wasn't a complete payoff, still paid off a little bit close to 75%, 47.75, 47.70. The money is there to be made. But as far as positioning yourself, this is not a place to be in large positioning until you get a little bit of a confirmation. And we'll see how all that goes. Because right now, everything looks like they're going to say Thursday and Friday are both going to go green. Have a great day. I will see you in the chat room. And let's make some money.